Well, hello in YouTube land and welcome back to the channel. And today we have a full review of my GSX-S1000. Yeah, Sookie 2.0. So So, what do I think about this bike? Well, I love it. I love it. It's supposedly not too powerful because it only right has 150 horsepower for a 1000cc naked bike. Now all the other hyper bikes or hyper naked bikes are doing crazy numbers like 190 to 200 horsepower. And well, you need a lot of electronics for that. So that makes no sense. Or maybe it does, I don't know. But for me, this makes sense because this is something that I can handle. It's still scary, but it's gonna be fun, right? And that's the whole point. You wanna enjoy yourself while riding. So what is this bike anyway? And we're gonna compare it obviously to the 750 because that's the one we traded in for. So this bike, we talked about this, it's more of a street bike than the 750 was, which is odd. The 750 was more of a race bike that you can, because of the way it was set, the suspension and even the engine was more like for the racetrack, and you could feel that it was detuned, but it was fine because now you can have more reliability on that engine. But this one, it feels a little bit more plush, a little bit more comfortable, right? So it's more for the street. And I want to make sure that that guy doesn't run over my camera. No, okay. Anyway, because of the way it is, the ride quality is more for the street. The suspension is soft and the tires are, yeah, a little sportier, but still, it's a street bike with a racing engine. That's what it is. Well, thank you. So, ergonomics. Let me get on it so that you can see. So this is the way you're positioned on the bike. What you see is you have an upright position. It's very comfortable. Now these handlebars, we talked about it as well, they're too wide. That's the first thing that you're gonna notice. You have a nice comfortable position. You can get on a tuck. The seat is not too long, so when you get on a tuck, you feel like you're banging yourself right against the dash. So you need a little bit more space, I think. That would be something to consider. And these handlebars, they feel like beach bars from a cruiser. That's weird. All right, so now let's talk about the things I love about this bike. First thing I love about this bike is the comfort. Wait, no, that's not number one. The number one thing I like about this bike is the looks. The looks of this bike, I love them. A lot of people don't like the look of it, but a lot of people haven't seen them in the flesh and they just criticize it because of the pictures. We talked about this already, guys. It is not a photogenic type of motorcycle. You have to see it in person to appreciate it. And I'm gonna try to find a nice parking space or a nice parking lot so I can take some video and images of the bike, even though it's a little dirty today. Haven't cleaned it, but so that you can see the look of the bike and maybe get a better idea. Let's see if I can get some cleaner shots than what we usually see online. More of a regular view of the bike.
Anyway, so that's the number one thing I love about this bike is the looks. I used to love the MT-10. I think this one looks even better than the MT-10. The previous one, because the new one, the new MT-10, I don't like the look of it. It rides much better than the old one, but I don't like the look of it. All right, looks pretty awesome. It looks like a transformer that is ready to attack some. It looks more like a Decepticon, but still, it's ready to attack the Autobots. And I love the black on black. Even this real ridiculous things that are camo, I didn't like them at first, but I don't know, it looks pretty cool. It's I feel like I'm gonna go out and hunt Terminators on it. I don't know. So that's number one thing is the looks. Love the looks of this bike. Number two, we can't talk about number two while we're in the middle of this traffic, because we need to talk about number two when we have a little space that we can maneuver. The number two, okay, let's try it now. Number two is the engine. Oh yes, the engine on this bike is awesome. It scares the hell out of me too, because it's fast as, we discussed that already. It's pretty fast. A lot of people say, oh, it's not a hyper bike, it doesn't have 200 horsepower. All right, for those people, I dare you to go on the twisties with this bike and not be scared out of your mind when you give it the full throttle. All right, so it's the engine, that 999cc inline 4 from Suzuki. They know how to build an inline 4. That engine is just unbelievable. It sounds great, it's torquey, it has 152 horsepower. Anybody who says that's not enough, well, it's crazy, because it's plenty of power. You don't need more power on the street. So that engine, and it sounds awesome as well. It's one of those things that I love about Suzukis. They sound better than any bike out there, especially if you like the sound of the inline 4s, because a lot of people, they like the sound of the cross plane or the V4s or the V-twins. On a sport bike, this is the way to go, the inline 4. All right, so number three, what's the third thing I love about this bike? The third thing I love about this bike, I don't even know if I'm doing it in order or not. Number three is the comfort. The comfort level of this bike. Even though it's a sportier bike, we discussed it on an earlier video, this bike is built for the street. The suspension, even though you can go really quick on it and it's gonna handle it great, if you're on a bumpy road, the level of comfort, starting with the tires, the suspension, and then the ergonomics, are gonna be great. You can ride this bike for hours and hours. Obviously, the seat is not gonna be the comfiest. Maybe that's something that you can change, but overall it's a pretty comfortable bike. These wide handlebars give you a very good position on the bike, upwards but a little sporty, so that you can actually, well, maneuver on it. Number four thing I love about this bike is the low RPM assist. Suzuki's low RPM assist, they have improved it a lot. And if anybody doesn't know what the low RPM assist is, this thing, you see how I'm not touching the throttle? if I just release the clutch, the bike is going to start moving forward. So it's impossible to stall. Might think it's like a stupid thing. You might think it's not really a big thing, but it's, I don't know, I find it really comfortable. You don't have to worry about well, stalling the bike ever, just in case. I mean, it's not like something I would do, but I don't know, it's just something that it puts a smile on my face every time. So the low RPM assist from Suzuki, and it's much better than on the 750, and it's just something that I love about this bike. Number 5, the 5th thing and final thing I love about this bike, it's the way it handles. When you are out there giving this bike full throttle and going hard on the twisties, it handles beautifully, especially since on the seat, the way I mean the way the ergonomics is, which has to do with the comfort as well. Out of the way, Pex. So the way this seat is set up, or the way the whole ergonomic thing, I don't know, I've never had a bike that does this. When you're going on a twisty road and you want to move, right, you want to drop the bike, you want to move on the side, you can put your butt outside of the saddle, but you don't have to do it in just one single motion. You can like drop, let gravity do its thing, and then you can actually hang on with your leg, and it's a pretty tight and good position, so it just gives you a lot of confidence when you're cornering, because you don't have to pick your position before the corner. You can actually, if you made a mistake, you can actually adjust, and that's just something that it's, I don't know, it's great. It's better than on any. So that handling thing is just the best. Never had a bike that I feel so comfortable going fast on it. And oh, I forgot. Number 1 thing I love about this bike. Yes, I know I say it was gonna be just 5 things, but I give 2 fucks. I'm gonna tell you the number 1 thing I love about this bike, and that is oh man, I can't say it like this with this traffic, but it's the quick shifter. The quick shifter is the number 1 thing I love about this bike. It's the smoothest quick shifter I've ever tested or ridden, and it's unbelievable. It's so smooth. It's just it's the best. So yeah, the quick shifter is the number 1 thing I love about this bike.
And now the way the engine sounds, the exhaust note and the induction noise is awesome, but I still love the 750 a little bit better. But let's talk about the things I don't like about this bike.
So I don't think there's anything that I hate about the bike. Well, maybe there is, I don't know. Let's talk about the 5 things then that I don't particularly like about Sookie, the GSX-S1000 from 2023, and this whole black version. I love it to death, but there are things that are a little bit wrong with it, and Suzuki can, well, listen to me, hire me if you know what I mean, and make this bike perfect. So coming in at number 5, it has to be the weight. It's a heavy old bike, all right? And the problem is it does feel, I mean, when you get on other bikes from the competition, like especially the BMW S1000R, I mean, that bike feels just light as a feather compared to this one. So yeah, the weight is and it's something that you feel it when you're doing slow maneuvers. Not much when you're going fast. Well, maybe maybe you do, because when you hit the brakes, and that's another thing we're going to talk about, but when you feel the brakes, it feels all that weight, impossible to stop. So yeah, any type of weight reduction they can do on this bike would be much appreciated. Coming in at number 4 is, well, I love the look of it, but all these creases and different things from the aesthetics, because they're nothing else than aesthetics, right? Like these winglets. I mean, come on, it's not like it's giving you a whole bunch of downforce. It just makes the bike very difficult to clean. So if, I don't know, maybe by next time, if they can do something about making all these creases disappear, that would be awesome, because yeah, it is really difficult to clean, especially if you're in a hurry. Now, if you want to check out how to detail this bike, make sure to check out the link. Look, a little scooter like the one I used to have. Check out the video on how to clean this bike in 5 minutes or less. It's actually 7 minutes, but nobody's counting. So coming in at number 3 of the things that are not great about this bike, it has to be this dash, and today it's all dirty. But I hope you can see all those spots. But yeah, look at the dash. Come on, man. This dash looks just terrible. It's a lot of information. It's very crowded. I don't mind the whole idea of not being LCD. I mean, obviously, if you give me a full TFT color display, it would be great. But just the whole thing, that it's just too crowded. If you want to look at the time, where's the time? I can't really find it. Now, if you're just using this bike, you can get used to it. But when you're jumping from one bike to the other, you forget where the things are. It takes a while for you to remember, and that's just something that I really don't like. Another thing that it's hard is, all right, the dim, it always comes back to the lowest settings on the brightness, and I always forget how to set it up, and it's a little bit annoying as well. There it is. I don't know if you can see that the dim, the brightness is changing, but I really can't see it in the sunlight. All right, so that's the brightest that it can be, and it's not really bright. So the dash, yeah, number 3. Number 2. So number 2 has to be these beach handlebars. I mean, this is not a cruiser bike, guys. What the hell's going on with these wide handlebars? They don't look appropriate for a sporty bike like this. Now, once you get used to it, it's not that bad. But it took me like 3 weeks of riding this bike before I started not feeling all weird that I had these wide handlebars like a beach cruiser type bike. So yeah, that's number 2 on the list of things I don't like about this bike. Now, when you're doing the hard twisties, the handlebars work great with the weight. So I would love to see if I can change them and for something sportier, maybe some clip-ons. But I don't know if it's gonna be heavier too, and you had to muscle this bike around to move it, because the wide handlebars, well, do a great job of moving the bike from side to side. But the worst thing, the absolute worst thing about this bike, now we're gonna get into this street before we talk about things that I don't like. Oh, I love that sound. I love this bike, man. Love it to death. Love it. Out of the way, Pex. Alright, so number 1 thing that is wrong about this bike is the brakes. Oh man, it just takes forever to this bike to stop. That's very dangerous, Suzuki. Give me better brakes on a bike that is as powerful as this, because otherwise a lot of people can get into real trouble. So yeah, the back brake is not bad. Alright, I mean, it does have plenty of feel, and it does have plenty of stopping power. I don't know if you can turn off the ABS to do if you can back this bike up. I'm not inclined in doing those things, but the back brake, I don't feel anything wrong with it. But the front brake, I mean, you have to give it almost 4 fingers to have a feel for it. It's very squishy, and it does not have enough stopping power. So yeah, the brakes on this bike, So you're gonna see that even though it is a big heavy bike, it is not that difficult to maneuver in slow and small spaces. Now, one of the things that has to do with why this bike is a little bit nimbler than it should is that it has that low RPM assist from Suzuki. So you don't have to even give it the throttle before the bike starts moving. So that's one of the things that makes this bike really easy to handle in slow maneuvers. Now, I'm not the greatest rider, especially in slow maneuvers, but as you can see, well, I don't struggle that much as I did with, well, obviously the Street Glide, being that big heavy tourer. So is it easier to move this one around than the GSX-S1000? Well, obviously not, right? The 750 was a much nimbler bike, and this one being a little bit, I don't know, it's not really that much heavy, but it just feels a little bit more. But the big wide handlebars, I think they help when you're doing fast twisties, but I don't think they really make a lot of sense on this slow speed maneuvers. Now, Suzuki, what they do on these on their what do you call them, on their promo videos, so when this bike came out in 2022, they try to advertise it as a very nimble bike because of the specs, I guess. A lot of people, what they thought would be, you know what, that bike is going to be heavy, it's not going to move real quick in tight spots. So what they did is they put a guy inside a warehouse stealing the bike, right? And he can get away because the bike is so nimble. I don't know if stealing motorcycles is a good way to promote your products, but it worked. And then when they did the launch, they also picked a very narrow, twisty hill climb to do that. So obviously trying to make it the point that, you know what, it might be heavier than the competition, but it's just as nimble and you can move it around no problem. The first thing we have to do is change the riding mode on Sookie from B to C. So we put it in C mode, which is comfort, which is actually rain mode. And then what we also do is change the traction control to 5, which is the highest setting. And now we can ride with more comfort and security. Is security the word? I don't think that's the word that I'm looking for, but we are riding with safety in mind. Whenever you're riding in the rain, the most important thing is to be safe. So let's let these cars pass, and then we can move into the street. So one of the things that I do when I ride in the rain is I take it easy. Now, I don't mind riding in the rain when I have all my gear on. Sometimes when you get caught in the rain, and you should ask my wife, you get caught in the rain without your proper gear, and it could be murder. Even though it is not too cold today, I can actually feel it. I'm not wearing the proper gloves, and I started to feel a little bit cold, chilly. But everywhere else, I did bring the proper gear. So, how does Sookie feel in the rain? Well, the good thing is it does have those rider modes. When I first saw bikes with rider modes, I don't even remember what time in my life that was. I don't know, like 15 years ago. I always thought it was stupid. It was like, makes no sense. Why would you need a big bike and then be riding in rain mode, right? I always thought, well, you have the control here. Rain mode is in your wrist. And for a long time, I thought it made no sense to be buying. Maybe you're just buying a bigger bike that you can handle. But now that I have one with the actual modes, I do understand it's having two different bikes in one. So sometimes you want to go like crazy and your bike is going to be a little bit snatchy, but sometimes you just want to take it easy, especially if it's raining. So you don't want a snatchy bike because it's dangerous. So you can put it in rain mode and just well, do a relaxing ride. So that's a good idea to do. For some reason this stop sign is off, so that's giving us this little traffic, which we shouldn't have this much traffic this time in the day. It is not a rush hour. No es la rush, dirían en mi pueblo. Anyway, so yeah, once we start moving, I can talk more about how this Sookie feel in the rain. And we're also going to be testing, well, the waterproof capabilities of all the equipment. Hopefully none of the equipment fails us because of the water. So we have the Dragon Touch here and the GoPro. So the Dragon Touch is on this one, and then we have the GoPro recording the main view. And let me know, guys, what do you think also about the setup here. I think this is the one I'm going with. Even though I do have the ability to use my chin mount, I just move my head too much. Not like other motovloggers that I see, that they can keep their head a little bit more stable. I'm always checking my mirrors. I'm always checking what's going on around me. So the camera movement is just too much. It gets a little, you can get a little dizzy, I believe. So I'll just keep that one, the chin mounts, for when I'm demoing bikes that I cannot mount my cameras on. But for our regular motovlogs, I'll use this setup. So just let me know if you guys think it's a good idea, if you like that angle from the cameras, or if you would like to see something else. So well, when I'm riding, because this is not the first time I've ridden Sookie in the rain, I can start explaining how it feels. So very comfortable, very comfortable, and it's actually a relaxing feeling to be riding in the rain. Because usually when you're riding a 4-cylinder liter bike, even though it's a naked one, it's still a sports bike, and it's still always asking you to go fast. And in your mind, you're always thinking, yeah, I should go like balls out because I'm in a liter bike and no car is gonna pass me. I'm gonna make sure that everybody understands that I'm in a liter bike. Look at me. But when it's raining, well, you have that excuse in your mind. You're not a pussy, it's raining, right? So a charger next to you can rev his engine, and it's not gonna matter because you're riding a relaxing ride because it's raining. So that's how Sookie feels in the rain, right? If you can just relax and, I don't know, enjoy the rain, enjoy the day, enjoy the smell that the rain brings. So very comfortable. Now the tires on this bike are very good also, because that's another very important thing. It's not just the rider modes, because you have the proper tires. If you put on sportier tires, so yeah, you're gonna enjoy it more when you're going in the twisties, but here you're gonna struggle. I remember buying a sportier tires on my 750, and the first time it started raining, I was slipping and sliding all over the place, and I felt the traction control hit plenty of times. Now on the 750, I've never had that issue before, and it was just because I had the tires, and they were not brand new. Because some people might think, hey, well, if the tires were new, that was the reason. But no, they were not new. They were already broken in. No paraffin on the tires. And on these, well, you can feel a little bit more comfortable putting the bike on the side of the tire, because you know that even though it is wet, it is going to be slippery, you can still maneuver a little bit. So obviously you're not going to be dragging knee, but just for a little cornering on a regular street riding, they're perfectly adequate, or more than adequate. They're perfectly fine. They're a very good set of tires. And I believe I had the Metzlers from Bridgestone, but I'm not 100% sure now, because I saw on a website that in some countries this one has the Dunlop Sport Max, I believe, or Sport Road, no, Roads, I forgot. All right, so bam, Mini JP can solve that problem for us. But so yeah, the tires are awesome, and when when it's raining, what else? So the brakes, even though I always complain about the brakes not being great, well, since it has good tires, good enough suspension, the bike stops with no problems. And in case you need them for any special emergency, the ABS does a good job. I've tried them a couple of times when it was raining, and yeah, the bike stops. You don't lock either one of your tires. I mean, I haven't done it in like a special super emergency, but I have felt the ABS come in when it's raining a couple of times, and on this bike feels a lot better than on the 750. So that's another good thing for the 1000.
And now, let's see how this bike handles the twisties.
Okay, we're coming up on some twisties. Now there's a lot of traffic ahead, so what we'll do is we'll slow down right here, give him some space, and that way we'll have plenty of space to maneuver and find out how Sookie reacts on these corners. Oh yeah, Sookie is great on these sweeping corners. She's just so stable, and she's awesome. I love her. This is where she lives. You can go on a racetrack, I'm sure, but this bike is not really built for that. I think it's built for a road like this, obviously without any traffic. But she handles the bumps great at fast speeds, and then even though she's a heavy bike, when you move this bike with this big handlebars, you get a lot of control, and then you just put her where you want her, and she's gonna stay there. Now another thing I talked about earlier, but it was the video that didn't have any good sound, is the way the ergonomics on this bike help you to turn. And I don't know if it was something that the engineers in Suzuki did it on purpose or not, but the way you slide off the seat, you just let gravity do its thing, and you feel really comfortable. And then this leg, or the opposite leg, is gonna just lock in on the seat, so you can actually hang off the bike no problem. And well, that's gonna give you a lot of confidence. So that's, I mean, bravo Suzuki on that one. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but yeah, even yeah, just like this, even if you're not going that fast, you can do that. So that's great. I love it. Let me see if we can get rid of this traffic so we can enjoy a little bit more twisties with Sookie. That's the issue about I think I went on the wrong road, but this one is not that bad. All right, hopefully all these cars get out of the way. No, it's still a 1488, so it's the one I was hoping for. So, all right, let's let that car go. Give me some space. I usually like to take this corners a little bit faster, but with the traffic, it's impossible. Because Sookie can handle a lot more than this. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah, and then you hit the apex and she really wants to go. She wants to go fast like a bat out of hell. That's how she handles the twisties. I mean, I love it. Problem with traffic is that you can't really, well, I mean, we're not going to find the limit. I'm pretty sure we find my limit before we can find anything near close Sookie's limit. And this is something that you want on a bike. Confidence, right? That that the bike is going to outperform you all the time. Now the way you want to ride these twisties, especially if there's no traffic, because here with traffic it's impossible. I always tell everybody, just ride at your limit, ride 80% of your limit, and then take it down a notch, all right? The level you feel comfortable, and then still take it down a little bit more. Because, well, that's the way to ride safe and still have fun. All right, so let's see if we can get a little bit of distance. No, it could not, because well, what they did, they hit the brakes, which is smart. You don't want to hit the, you don't want to hit a curve faster than you want to or can handle. This one was great because it had the double twist. Yeah, so these are some good twisty roads that we found here at 1488, and remember, this is a closed road in Mexico, and I'm gonna run out of road, and I haven't talked about the tires. Now the tires on this bike are great for this. They can do this all day and all night. I think this is where we turn. Yes, this is where we turn. Okay, if I remember correctly, there are still a couple of more turns here, but I can't see beyond this car, so I don't know if I can pass them or not. And no, we cannot, but after this car we can, so let's go. By no means giving it the whole beat. I'm just twisting the throttle a little bit, and Sookie just wants to go. She wants to hit those apexes. She's such a, I mean, much more nimbler bike than what the spec sheet would suggest. And it has to do a lot with the way these handlebars are set up. But I think it's more than that. I think it's just the way they designed it. I mean, the way they designed this bike is awesome. I mean, the chassis can handle anything, and that engine, I mean, obviously is tuned for the street. So that means the bike can handle, and it can live forever. Well, I hope that answers the question, guys, as if Sookie is a good one on the twisties, because, well, I am not the greatest rider in the world, but I can definitely get up to speed on Sookie on these roads. And then you have that sound. That sound of the inline 4, then there's something wrong with you. You're gonna have to go check, get yourself checked out, because there's something wrong in your brain if you don't enjoy that, if you don't love it.
Turn your fucking brain on.
Well, and that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching the channel. Thank you so much for, if you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe and share it with all your friends. Remember, if you don't like the video, well, send it to all your enemies. And I'll see you guys on the next one.